Well, happy Wednesday to you. Chris Hare here, the Crypto Cowboy, bringing you yet another nightly update. Today is Wednesday, October 8th. It's about 10 o'clock here in Texas. Got all the horses fed, cows are bedded down for the night. So here I am in the shop bringing you guys another great video. If you're enjoying these videos, go ahead and like the video, tap the subscribe button, hit that bell notification. You'll get alerts as soon as we drop a video, and leave me a comment. Those things help the YouTube algorithm. Tell me what you ate tonight for dinner. Tell me what you did this evening. If you want a chart looked at, I don't mind looking at them. Put it in the comments and I'll see if I can't get to it in one of these next videos. But I need to also remind you that these videos are not for financial advice. They are for entertainment and educational purposes only. Use caution when trading crypto. You could lose all of your money. All right, going into the meat and potatoes, what you guys are looking for. We're going to back this up one step to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Crypto Fear and Greed Index, it's a proprietary tool that was developed by CoinMarketCap that measures the prevailing sentiment in the crypto market. So this tells you if people are scared, if we've had pullbacks, if we're feeling euphoric or greedy. Kind of gives you an idea of where we're going. But we're at a 55 tonight, so we don't have anybody. We have people scared. We have people that are kind of euphoric and bullish. So we're just kind of right in the middle. It's kind of like everybody's just waiting on the move to see what happens here. But what I will show you is this fear and greed index. It likes to follow a pattern here. You can see these things go down in like a bull flag, if you will, and they break out. They go down in a bull flag and they break out. And you can see we've gone into a bull flag. We went all the way to fear and we broke out. This extreme fear was when Trump, right after Trump took office, introduced the tariff, scared the market, and it just dumped all the way to extreme fear back, I believe, around in March. Yeah, in March. So that's where we were. Bitcoin price looks like it was about 81,000 the first time, about 79,000 the second time, and then we just launched out of this giant flag. Well, you can see we've created another flag again. People are starting to get optimistic and we got out of fear, and now we're pushing back up. So that gives you a pretty good idea on market sentiment, where we are, what people are thinking. You go to a Bitcoin liquidation heat map. This is a map that the market makers pay attention to. Market makers move the market up and down. They decide where it goes. And so this tells us a little more of what they're looking at and what they're thinking. As you can see, we've got these bright yellow and green lines, and what this is high concentrations of liquidity. This is people's liquidation points when they're trading. Their stop losses may be above, but for now, it looks for that liquidity. So the market makers just hunt it back and forth, back and forth. We like to call them lizard people because they just don't care where your trades are. They're coming after them either way. But what you can see is to the downside, we've got about $622 million worth of liquidations down to about 118.5. And if you go to the upside, we've got about 744 million in liquidations for people that are short. So we're kind of in the middle. We're heavier to the upside than we are the downside, which means we're probably going to go after this top side liquidity, but I don't think we go after it until we reach the bottom side. The market makers just aren't going to leave this down here before we get into a bigger run. So what does all that mean on the charts? Well, let's move over to it, break it down. You'll kind of understand. So I'm going to tell you a story here. Markets hit a previous all-time high at 109,000 and a half right after Trump took office. But by mid to late January, introduced tariffs and it spooked the markets, all the markets, traditional stocks, crypto, everything, just spooked it. The bear stepped in and just drove this price down all the way to about $74,000. And you can see that put us in extreme fear. People are scared. Nobody wants to buy here, but the whales know, the big money knows, and they start buying. They're like, everybody's scared, it's time to buy. And that's when we need to learn to buy. When it's in extreme fear, that's a really good time to go ahead and deploy some capital, because you've got a likely percentage that we're going to go up. So you can see the whales took control. They pushed this price up, pushed it up all the way to about 111,000. When you measure these things, savvy traders know that we're at the top. The whales are going to start taking profit. People are going to start paying attention and buying tops, and then they go ahead and take profits because they know it's coming. So the bulls stepped in, pushed this price all the way back down to about $98,000. Bears knew that that's a really good support line that we had flipped, so they stepped in, pushed the market up, and that's when we headed towards all-time highs. Once we got up here, you can see this trend line. I went ahead and left it here. It's yellow. You can see we tried to break it, couldn't, tried to break it, couldn't, broke it, couldn't keep it, broke it again, couldn't keep it. Bulls finally said that's enough. We're stepping in. There's tons of shorts piled up here that are just like you saw in the liquidation heat map. And then we went through it. And when you hit those big pockets where there's a lot of liquidity, you get what you call a short squeeze. And that's why this price pushed up over all-time high like it did. Well, now we've established another support above it. So we made the first all-time high. We came down. It's usually likely. Pushed back up, broke it again because everybody piled into shorts and the market makers just pushed it up, took all that liquidity with them. And then everybody gets bullish. They long at the very top. And then the market makers say, we've got you. They dump the market back down, take all of your liquidity. And then the bulls step in at this previous support line. So it's super bullish that we didn't just lose this support and crash on down. We held that support, pushed up, tried to break all-time highs again, couldn't do it, but we didn't even go as low the second time, which is a pretty good sign that we're going to push at it again, and there's a good possibility we're going to break it, and that's exactly what happened. We smashed right through it, set another all-time high right about 125.8, and now we're kind of cooling off because it takes a lot of buying pressure to get it up here, so you can't just depend on it to go in a straight line all the way up here to these 140, 150s that I have marked. This thing's got to cool off, retest, and then work back up again. You can see these blue lines. I use these lines because they're pretty good guides on how this behaves and how it will travel. So you can see if we stay inside these lines, we fill this, what we call an ascending pennant out. And when these things go into these, they like to fill out about 70% of them, which puts us up about 144.2 to 151.3. Once we get up here, you see I've got this marked. It's a golden zone. That's where I'll probably take a first profit on a run like that. Up here, I'm going to take more profit and probably think about getting out, because what's going to happen is it's going to fall out of this pennant and it's going to work its way down. Where? Time will tell, but that's where we're at for now. So we're looking at this move here. We can tell we're building some kind of bull pennant here. So let's go down to the 4 hour. It's going to break these candles out by a little more and give you a better idea of what's going on. So as you can see, we had a pretty good crash into September. Bulls stepped in at this big support line, said, hey, we know what this is. We're going to start buying. They bought, pushed it up, got up to this other support and couldn't break it. The bears stepped in, said, you're not going to break it, so we're going to sell off. They sold off, pushed the price all the way back down to about 108,000. What I do like is that we didn't come down and retest the support again. We established a new support and we broke up, and that's when we ran, and we ran really, really hard. We blew through this support, or this resistance, flipped it into support immediately, kind of retested it here. Bulls said, no, we don't want to retest it again, and we just kept pushing on up to an all-time high, 126,000. You can see that also falls within this pennant that we had drawn, and like I said, they like to respect this, so we knew we were going to get some downside, and generally you come back down and retest the bottom side of this pennant, which falls into our targets. We cannot go below this line. If we do, we're going to be looking for lower targets. So right now we're looking at a target somewhere around 119.5 down to about 117.9. If we lose this, then we're going to consider lower targets, 115 to 112. That's a golden zone. Let me go ahead and draw it so you have a good visual. This would be our golden zone to the downside, so that's going to also be really good support. I don't think we get here, but we're not going to rule it out. 103 to 197, if you, for some reason, we lose those moves, but you can tell it's below this 107,000. I don't think we go that low, but I don't want to just say, we should just ignore it, because market makers push this where we want to. We're just playing in their sandbox. So there you have it. If we do bounce here, this is where I'm looking. I'm looking in this golden zone, somewhere around 132,000. This wasn't very big. A lot of times, if these are about twice the size, I would say we're going to hit the golden zone and that's probably going to be it. But since it's not, usually this next push is quite substantially larger. And you can tell we're still inside of this pennant. We're going to just work our way up to it. This is my take profit zone, probably where I'll close these trades somewhere around $147,500. So that's going to give you a really good indication of what we're looking at, where we're going. As we go along, I send regular updates. I put these charts in the crypto school. There's tons of resources there that will explain what all these other Fibonacci's and things that I use are, but I'm not going to overcomplicate your video tonight. If you know what these are, you understand. I don't need to explain it. But get into the school. There's a whole course on how to trade and what to look for and how to learn what all of these things are. And if you're not in that school, you're missing out. The links are in my description, so go check it out. Yeah, so that's Bitcoin. Somewhere around 118,000, I think, and then we'll push on up to these upper targets. All right, I'm going to go back to the liquidation heat map so we can go through Ethereum, and you can get a picture of what's going on there. Like I said, market makers chase liquidity. There's still a big pocket of liquidity. There's one here about $4,450. There's another big one at $4,420. If we just check it out, we've got 136,000 to the bottom side. So this move's probably getting close to done, because if you go to the upside, man, up to about $4,850, we've got $770 million worth of liquidation. So that's just juicy for the market makers. They're going to want to run out of that after that. But I think we're going to try to go down and kind of clean these out first. They really like to wipe them out completely. So how does that translate into the charts? Well, let's go to the chart and take a look. There we go. Big ugly red candle on the 4-hour, but let's go to the daily, see what we look like, and let's figure out how we got here and what our next steps are. All right, I'm going to pull this over. I'm going to tell the story. It's kind of the same thing that we talked about Bitcoin. We had the big ugly dump with the tariffs that brought us back down to about $1,411. I actually pulled a lot of my Ethereum. I wasn't very optimistic. I was still in profit from the bear market, and I just rolled a bunch into SUI just because I thought it might still perform, and we had a good opportunity. But you can see the whale stepped in, low, extreme fear. Nobody wanted Ethereum, but the whale said, hey, at this price, we'll go ahead and buy some. And so they bought and they held it. There wasn't a lot bigger appetite for buying pressures, so the whales probably took some profit. Once you get to here, the retail traders, you know, the day traders, the intraday traders, they're looking at this target saying, hey, it's probably a good place to buy. And so they step in and they buy. So what happens is now you've got whales and intraday traders buying. They've kind of stalled out here. They took a little profit, and now we're into the final push to head up to these upper targets. This is where average Joe retail comes in. Probably not me, but got people that don't really have an understanding. So we want to be specific on this, because what they do is they'll wait till we get up here somewhere and they'll start buying tops, and that's when this thing rockets. But by this time, the whales and the day traders know this, and they're starting to take profit, and then you become exit liquidity. But what we can see is we're kind of fighting this line here. We have a really strong support right here at about $4,240. Bulls are really trying to hang on to this. Bears are trying to push into it. Do we break this? I'm not sure, but we'll break that down in a 4-hour chart that's going to tell you a little more. I do have this target marked down here because it's a strong support. I don't think we come anywhere near it, 31.95 to 21.07. What I think is we're probably going to retest this line here. Typically, when you get runs and they push through resistance and find support, they want to come down to about halfway of that move, and then they want to bounce out of them. So that puts your upper targets at, you know, in this golden zone at about $7,800 to $8,700 with an opportunity. This is where I'd take profit, get out about $11,000 to $13,000. We'll draw a trend on the bottom of this too, and we'll have a better understanding as we get further along in this move. But if we draw a trend, let me just take these two off, take that off. You really want 3 touch points to make a trend, but we can start putting a rough one there. And we've just almost got 3 there. So we'll watch this close. We'll see what happens. But breaking it down to the 4-hour, we'll get a better idea of what's going on. This is breaking out that smaller move so we can understand where we are. So what we've done, bull stepped in after a big sell-off that started about the end of September, pushed all the way down, pushed down to about $3,800. Bulls knew this was a great support, pushed the market up. Bulls are buying, or the whales are buying, whales are buying. Now the intraday traders have stepped in, and everybody got up to this pretty strong resistance point, because you can see it's equivalent to this other top here. We topped out back in September at about $4,750. That's where we lost it. Bulls stepped in. So now we're at a critical point, kind of got to the same place. Bears have stepped in again. How far do they push it? Well, this move really can't go below about $4,347 to $4,232 before we start thinking about lower targets. This line, this yellow invalidation line, is kind of a line in the sand. We've kind of got to hold that. So basically, what am I doing right now? How am I approaching this? Well, I took shorts at the top of that move, and when it moved up, we're so close to a support line. I went ahead and closed the trades. It just wasn't worth taking a chance for that thing pushing on up. So I'm risk off. I'm going to sit and wait. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to be patient when we get down to this golden zone. If we can put in a higher low on the hourly, and let me explain to you what I mean by that. So you can see from here to there is a lower low. What we want is something just simple like this. We want to find support, we want to move up, and we want another low that's higher than the previous low, and that's when I'll take a trade. So it's a lot of patience here, guys. If you pull up these are stochastic RSIs. This is an RSI. This tells me the strength of the move, you know, how risky it is. The higher this goes up, the riskier the move is. And you can see the stochastic RSI is rolling down. It's kind of getting into oversold, which tells me that this move is probably towards the end, and we're going to be looking for upside here before too long. But that gives you an idea. Like I said, I put all these charts in the crypto school, so you guys have them readily available. Come join us over there. Let me show you what you guys are missing if you're not in there already. You'll find a link to this in my description. How to sign up, how to get involved. You can see somebody shared another video of somebody else. I was making fun of a guy. But everybody posts charts. They're trying to figure out where we're going. Just a good group of individuals that love to teach, love to help. There's a great lineup of coaches here. Coach Bulls is amazing. Of course, you'll find me there. I'm Coach Chris. Satoshi gives great calls if you just want to take trades. He puts out some really nice stuff that makes a lot of money. Coach Fish, one of my best friends, you'll see him on this channel. He's a great educator and does a phenomenal job at it. Of course, Coach Lewis puts out some really great videos in the morning that really can give you an understanding of what's going on and how to become a better trader. Of course, you know Connor Kinney, Tyler Hill. It's all here, guys. If you're not here, you're missing out. I don't know what more you could want. This place just generates money. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I tried to simplify these a little bit. There's a lot of information that I haven't covered that I think you guys need to see. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get you individuals to a place where you're comfortable with your trading and you can start seeing the same things I did. Now, of course, mine's a little more advanced and there's a little more information on the chart than you're probably used to, but there's a reason. And if you get into that crypto school, there's courses that tell you exactly what all of that means. And if you're still stumped, private message me, reach out to me on YouTube. Let's figure this out. I don't mind helping. I want you guys to learn. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not doing this just because I want to be on YouTube. I'm doing this to teach. I want you guys to learn. I want you guys to be successful. And if you're successful, I'm successful. So that makes me happy. But once again, I'm going to sign off. I've talked enough already. This is Chris Hare, the Crypto Cowboy. We'll see you down the road.